Right, there we go.
Okay, got it.
So welcome everybody to our little meeting about collaboration. These January journals are a long-standing tradition with the Welcome Mat, and you can go back and look at different ones that we've done. They're not all there because every once in a while I go in and clean house of things that are more elderly, but also upcoming in the January, February issue of Rug Cookie Magazine, I'm writing about it and asking others to participate because they can join the Welcome Mat for 1 month and still do the journal. So in our group that I have created for this, that's where we'll post what we're doing. And so I don't know really sure how I'm going to set it up. Sometimes I set it up so everybody who's doing it has a discussion and they just post their own work to their discussion. And then when we want to see what Catherine's doing, for instance, or Linda, we just go to that discussion and we can see her updates, which does kind of keep things tidy, right? And I think I might do it that way. And then sometimes I do it by week, but that seems to put pressure on people, which brings me to the most frequently asked questions about this project. Because it really can feel unnerving, especially about the third day. You start to think, what have I done? Like I've got, what, 28 more days of this? So I want to reassure you, one of the questions people always ask me is, do I have to hook every day? You do not. Our life intervenes and sometimes we can't. But I usually tell people to have a go along record sort of that you can write things down. So if you can't hook that day, try to still develop your idea and think about what you're going to hook when you get there. Like for instance, one of us isn't going to maybe be able to do anything until the 10th or the 11th of January. And that's okay, as long as they keep a record of what it is they're thinking about or want to do for that day, because then it's helpful when they go and apply themselves to their rug. Do I have to be finished on January 31st? Oh no, my friends, this can linger on, sometimes even for years. I have one that I started a few years ago. I think it was the first year of COVID, and I haven't been able to go back to it yet, but I still have everything written down. I still have the work I've done and all my wool and everything. So when I'm ready, I can just go right back to that. What if I make something ugly? Well, welcome to the creativity process, because this is what happens. And I really hope that whatever you make that day, be it ugly or indifferent or glorious, that you just leave it and move on to the next day. Because that's the beauty of it, that we do something and then we're done with it because a new day has begun. And that's really good to be able to do that, to just say, okay, that was yesterday. I have made them where the overall rug is like, only a mother could love it, you know, but I don't really care because I'm able to develop little ideas and then apply them later to bigger things I'm doing. And I think that's really valuable and important. Another problem, people get feeling overwhelmed, right? They think, oh, I can't even keep up. But before you start, I want you to evaluate the time you have available in January. So most of us know what we might be doing, right? Like I'm going to have a baby in January, so I'm not going to be able to have very much time to hook. So I'm going to choose to make a smaller project, right? So that whatever I'm doing each day is only this big. Or I've got oodles of time and I really want to dive in. So I'm going to make something that's, 3 by 4 feet. Or anywhere in between. It's up to you completely. The way you work is up to you. You might want to make a long skinny rug and work in rows. I had mentioned that. I don't know if you guys have read the 2 discussions that I have presented so far about it. It's worth reading the first one more than once because I jibber jabber quite a bit. But it really doesn't matter how you express this. So I have done it where I've worked a long narrow rug and worked in rows for each day. I've done it where I've just put things in and put the backgrounds around it as they may and just let it all flow from one thing to the other. So I could position them where I wanted to. I didn't even do it in a linear way. Sometimes it's just all over. Like the one I'm working on right now, the spirit, not the spirit trees, the word forest it's called. I had different words for each day, but I didn't put them, I just kind of put them all over as I saw fit. And so only you need to know what day stands for what word or whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't need to be explained to people. Sometimes people are very, want things to be a certain way. And they even want to put the date in each block and have everything very linear. And if that's what you want to do, that's perfectly fine with me too. But this is an opportunity where nobody needs to ever see it. It is entirely and completely for you. And you should let your freak flag fly. Really. You got nothing to prove, but you got everything to explore. So you can think about that. So about collaboration, you can have a partner. You don't have to have a partner, but you can if you wish. Your partner could be a certain color or a certain shape. It can be another person. But what I want you to do is sort of look for someone who's a similar temperament to you. So Kim and I are sort of alike. We're kind of laid back and we don't, the other thing we're like about is, well, I'm going to have to prove that. That's another way we're like, we might be good partners because I wouldn't be getting all ahead and hardworking. I wouldn't be upset if Kim was ahead of me. I wouldn't feel competitive towards her because we have a like sort of a spirit. So you want to look for somebody, if you really want to work every day, you want to look for a partner who is going to kind of either lift you up to their standard or let them be lowered to yours, however that works, right? And the other thing is it's a good opportunity to get to know someone you don't already know. So that's why I sort of put that little, I'm looking for a partner. So you should just tell a bit about yourself in there. I like to take things easy. I'm a type A personality. And it's just sort of like finding a college roommate, except you don't have to sleep in the same room with them. And you'll each be producing your own piece. So you don't have to switch them about, right? There's going to be none of that. So each person's going to end up with a rug. So that's kind of everything I have to say about it. But I wondered if you had any questions that you were wondering about that you wanted to ask.
Wanda, do we have to come up with the idea ourselves every day?
You can, or you can also ask for direction. Like some days we'll have a blank. So Bev, I don't know what you've considered to this point, but I'll just pretend that you had an idea. So let's say that you wanted to make 31 roses. Okay. So every day, you're going to make a rose. Where it is and what color it is might come from your daily life. Like you might get up and put your pink shirt on and think, that's the rose I want to make. Or you might put your striped shirt on and think, I'm going to try to make the background of this rose striped. Do you know what I mean? Something might come in the mail, a magazine, and you'll see a color and you'll go, oh, I really like that color. That's the color the rose is going to be today. So you'll be collaborating with roses, right? And whatever's coming into your life. But you can also just ignore your daily life. I like to put something in mine from my daily life, but you can ignore that and just collaborate with your idea of roses. And maybe you want to explore colors that you don't often use, or you might want to explore different styles of roses. So make like a really primitive one, make a fancy shaded one, make one where all the petals are triangles, just kind of explore that in all the ways that you can. And when you get stuck, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I have a lot of ideas, which I can never ever use in my entire life myself. So if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you can always say, well, what are you thinking about roses today, Wanda? And this is my function. I will come and say, well, Bev, when I got up this morning, I was thinking of your project and I thought, what about a rose in the snow, right? That's the most beautiful thing you can ever see is when it snows and a little rose blooms through it. Or I might think, what if you put a bee on your rose today for your own letter, right? put a bumblebee for the letter B for Beverly. You don't need to worry about getting stuck because I'll think of something. And even if you decide, no, I don't want that, that'll impede you, or not impede you, but move you through to thinking of something you do want. Sometimes somebody else's ideas work really good in reverse. You go, I don't want to do that. But then you get thinking, oh, but I do want to do this. So yeah. And I have no feelings about these things I say. I'm not concerned if you do or don't like them. It's just a way to get you thinking again.
And the size.
Yeah, it's really important that you think about the size of the rug you can handle. Yeah. So let's say we did do that roses idea. You could make a fairly, I know you don't like making little rugs, but you could make one about like this and have all the roses coming in from the edge. And they could play with, have them like being long stemmed roses of different lengths. And you could have fun with your background and fun with leaves. That was one way you could do, not that you should do roses, love, but just to show you really everything's available to us design wise. We can really do anything we want.
So cartoon characters wouldn't be a problem.
You can, as long as you don't mind Disney getting up your arse. Yeah. Yeah. None of that would be a problem. You do whatever, that sounds kind of fun. You do whatever strikes your fancy. Yeah. You could do them chronologically, like from the cartoon characters of your youth to the cartoon characters of your grandchildren today.
Mm-hmm.
They're remarkably different.
Thank you, Wanda.
Hey, buddy, you want a couch down there? 8 Rudy Lane. Shit, he's just looking for stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about, Rita, but we're hearing
shit.
you.
I'm sorry. Oh, damn.
It's
Wait,
okay.
hold on. Let me, sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
In the car. Got to
But
take
we-
kitty cat to the vet and,
Yes,
okay.
oh, I know. It can be a noisy trip.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. So does anybody else have any questions about this, how this all works, and anything that you're thinking about or things you want to share about what you're doing to help others? I know, Jennifer, you're
Wanda,
all
I'm
set to go
wondering,
just about. Go ahead.
Does the excuse me, does the end product have to be a rug, or can
No,
there,
I mean, you
there
don't
be a
have to.
multitude of small pieces?
It's up to you, but then you'll have all those things to finish. And that can
Mhm.
be a bit overwhelming, but that's completely up to you.
Okay.
Yep.
So would you like me to share what I kind of, I wrote Julia and I said, would you want to collaborate on a rug? Not knowing much about, what the whole process was gonna be. And she said, sure. A couple of
Mhm.
days later, she wrote back and she said, I want to use up as many worms as I can. That's my
Yeah.
goal. So
Yep.
that was good. That set kind of a goal. So then I just started looking at, just online at quilt patterns. Just, I don't know, I kind of got thinking, oh, maybe we could do something like that. So anyway, so far we've come up with a basic pattern, but we've both taken it and reworked it completely differently. So it has lines on it and triangles. Mine have semicircles now, and my lines go the opposite way to Julia's.
Mhm.
And we're going to try and do worms in an analogous way, so that each square kind of works from, say, yellow through yellow, green, green into blue, green, and then the next square starts at blue and goes through. So,
Right.
so we have basic plans, but the rugs will look so different because first of all, we have different worms, different patterns, same
different
pattern.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we've left it. She's been busy sorting worms. I haven't got to that point yet.
Mhm.
And of course, I don't want to start until January. And my goal is to try and do one square a day.
Mhm.
And that might be, maybe it'll be half a square a day. So, or some days will be different,
Yeah, of course. So you want to recognize though that if you don't know how much you want to hook a day, to keep things smaller rather than larger, right?
Yeah. Well,
Because
we both,
that's what causes the overwhelm, is when
Yeah.
you get, it's like joining a weight loss thing. You're on it. Oh geez, I just did 3/4 of a square. The next day I just did half. Next day a quarter. Next day not one at all. So
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope. So just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be big. It's better that you can settle into it and relax rather than feel like you're running against the clock, you know?
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
something to take in consideration. And the other thing, if you don't mind me saying, if you're working in blocks, it's really difficult to make an analogous thing run in rows. So what you want to do is have your primary color, whatever you want to start with, up in the corner, and then work around it, right? From kitty corner, because that way you're letting everything flow. If you work in rows, when you get to your second row, you'll have colors meeting up top and bottom that'll be not making a transition. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I do see that. Yeah,
Mhm. Just a little, I've been here
Yeah.
before.
yeah. The quilt pattern I saw, I think why my eye went to it was because each block was kind of analogous, and then it did end, and the next one started,
Right.
and I didn't mind it. So
You can always also draw some of the color from the above block down into the one below it, so that you're trying to unite them in that way.
yeah,
Yeah. You do whatever you want. I'm just, me, and I foreseeing the color difficulty. Yeah.
yeah. I see. When she first started talking about using up worms, I've seen so many rugs with they're just like Higgly Wiggly with all their worms. And it's never really appealed to me. And I think it's because they don't flow well. Whoops. Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Okay.
They don't seem to flow. There's too much contrast. So I think, that's why I kind of was thinking, let's have a bit of a plan. So
Right.
anyway, but it will be an experimental kind of thing, really. So
You can also do a little bit of a mock-up ahead of time, just to get a feel for how you want this analogous situation to happen. Because
Yeah.
you can get kind of to the middle of it and then go back the other way. Like you could make it so that you made an interesting color flow that was more mature than your quilt, if you know what I mean.
mhm.
Yeah.
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 It's just an idea, babe. You do whatever you want. I just have to throw this shit out at you. See
Yeah,
what's
well, and that's how we, try different
that's
things.
a collaboration too, right? So I'll be there to help because I'll be collaborating with you all in a way. When you get stuck or you need encouraged or you wonder what color because you got yourself boxed into a corner. That's what I'm here for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you good? Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. That's helpful for us to know. You figure
You're
out
welcome.
what kind of wool you want to use. You figure out what kind of shapes you want to use. And it really can be anything. And your partner, whomever you have, if you have one who's live, your work will be very divergent. They won't look alike at all, I don't believe, because we're individuals, which is part of the beauty of it. Shawnee,
I have one question. When do you foresee when you're going to offer the saturation class? Because
I do foresee it just as though I have a crystal ball.
Yeah, I just would like to kind of do one and then the next one without.
I'm going to open the saturation class about the 15th, around the 15th of January, but we won't actually start it. I just want you to get used to the idea of saturation and think about it. And I'll start producing actual, driving work for you to do near the beginning of February. So,
Be perfect then. Okay.
yeah, I always want you to think about saturation or whatever it is we're studying before we actually leap in, get your pattern. If indeed the kits if people need kits, the kits that I would be making. Yeah, so you'll know more about that. I'm sort of eating the elephant one bite at a time.
Yep.
Right
And-
now. So
One other question for this project, will we be meeting during Zoom at all? Or
yes, we will be meeting every single week. Yep.
oh, no. Okay, good.
It is really good. It's going to keep us attached to our project. And also on top of that, I don't want anybody feeling any shamefulness or embarrassment because you're behind. There's nobody more behind than me. Okay? I'm 3 years behind. So don't even worry about that. It's not part of what we're concerned about. What we're concerned about in this class is for you to explore things freely, that you're interested in. You know, like, oh, some people will come to me and they'll say, oh, I want always to hook a bunch of shoes. Well, this is your opportunity, you know? It's like you can do whatever you want to do. Maybe having done your temperature work, you're interested in exploring that pattern again. It's as you saw when I had a video of all the different things you can do with it. It's never ending. There's just so many different things we can do,
Thank
from
you.
soup to nuts. Yeah.
Good.
I think the most, because this is such an open one, normally I say things like, we did one called In a Word. So every day you thought of a word and you represented it. And people did all kinds of different things. Like I made a fern that had showed its back. Okay, so it was like a fern curling up like this. And then every frond that came off of that had a word. And it had like 31 fronds. So everyone had a word on it. And that's how I did it. I wish I could remember how other people did it, but I'm a little dim right now. But you can go in that, go back in the table of contents and look at all the pages, and you'll see the different journals, and you'll be able to see what people made. If you just even type January journal into the search engine on the welcome mat, you'll be able to see all kinds of rugs that people have made in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what comes. Mhm.
I got myself because my dog's barking.
Okay, love. That's a very silent dog bark. So are there any other questions anybody has?
Well, I was just, when you brought up collaboration, I was trying to think of stuff, and partly for collaboration, I was feeling it was, structured, and yet there's like the random, the opposite to it. So I was thinking was to be do a stripe rug.
Yeah.
But then the collaboration part would be to have everybody in the group message me their favorite color, whatever that may be. And then that would be, I would use for the stripes.
I'm
And then-
100%. That's genius and a great idea. Yep. That's a great way to collaborate with everybody, which is quite wonderful, I think. So yeah, you can ask that, no problem. And be, when people there might be a commonality, like there might be several people who like red, in which case you can have different reds represent the person,
Right.
darker,
Yes.
lighter, brighter,
Yeah.
dimmer, whatever works. But when you have a project like that, Kim, it's good if you have a unifying color. So here's something I'm going to throw out to you. You can just tell me to F right off, of course. That you pick a color yourself, and your favorite color. That color that you love, blue, green, helps every color get along with itself. So I might make a stripe of me, meaning you, a Kim stripe, and then a stripe of Jennifer, a Kim stripe of Michelle. Do you know what I mean? So that you're having a unifying thing going throughout to help hold it together.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that way, you're actually collaborating right next to the people that you're putting in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And so the other thing too is whenever we're using sort of random colors, you might want to think about keeping their saturations and their values the same so that it creates a calmness. Because, when Jennifer was saying she always has difficulty when she sees so-called hit and miss rugs, they're all jangly. And if a person really likes order, it's freaking irritating to look at them, because what people don't constrain the values. So they'll have white, they'll have, something as unto white, something as unto black, right next to each other.
Yeah.
They're not really thinking about contrast. So that's a good way, like just use 2 or 3 values of other people's colors, maybe 2 of your own that are close, so that you have some changes. And then that'll help unify everything.
Okay.
Because then that allows you to use a brighter color and a duller one, and they don't show up too much. They don't go crazy because it's not like wild light yellow. I saw a piece of it out of the corner of my eye. Like, oh boy, that's a real troublemaker, that one. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. So I don't want you to feel pressure. It's a busy season and time of the year, but it's really wonderful to be able to look forward to something, to be able to think, oh, when January comes, I'm going to sit in my chair and I'm going to just work this wonder, right? It's great to have that to look forward to. Does anybody else have any questions?
So to find a partner, do we just go back to your, on
You
the
can.
website?
You
Okay.
can, or you can, I thought about matchmaking right today. If you were feeling brave enough to do that, because once you have your partner, you have your partner. So you should put your hand up if you want a partner. If you want to collaborate with somebody else, your hand that is, the Zoom hand. And then we'll know that somebody's looking for a partner. Do you guys know how to raise your hand in Zoom?
No.
So Nadine has put up her hand. She's looking for a partner. I think if you go to the bottom of Nadine might have to tell us how to do this. I think, well, I'm not sure how to do it actually. Oh, here's Julia, or Julie's coming.
Okay, go.
You guys
Oh,
can just
sorry,
put up
Wanda,
your
interrupting.
real hand if you want to. Here's some more people coming in.
Nuts.
Is anybody else looking for a partner? A few of you, Joanne's looking for a partner. So Joanne, tell us a little bit about how you want to work. You don't have to tell us what you're going to do, but are you kind of a laid back person?
I think so. I don't know exactly how I want to
I
work.
think you are.
I've
I
thought
think
about
you're-
it. I've thought about it a lot.
Hmm.
But it seems to me that if I had someone and we batted ideas back and forth.
Yes,
Um,
it's very valuable to be able to do that with another person.
I don't know. I like geometrics. I like the idea of objects.
Mhm.
I think I'm pretty easy to go along with.
You're pretty open. And really what you want is somebody to be able to chat with these things about.
Just, I don't have a specific idea yet,
Right.
and just to bat it back and forth. And if it doesn't suit us, then we don't have to do it.
Exactly. That you have time to work it out and figure out what it is you want to do. And sometimes your idea might be rejected. Well, but this is another place that I can come in and help and say, you can say to me, oh, I suggested this, she suggested that. Is there a compromise that we can't see? Because I'm good at making those too for others, not myself, but for others I can.
Yeah.
So Joanne wants a partner. Linda wants a partner. Linda, what kind of worker are you? What are you thinking about?
Let's see, I would say I like to work in the somewhat abstract. And I like the idea of working with somebody that can toss out some parameters, because I have way too many ideas in my head.
Right.
And I think that if somebody said, gave me a crooked line or purple, or just there's still a million directions you can go with that, but
Right.
It focuses your mind on what those options are rather than being all over the place.
Right. How do you guys feel about being
So-
partner? Because it's
Ah,
interesting,
that
Linda,
could be
because
good.
you have a rainbow beside you too. I don't know if you reckon that. You're like blessed by a rainbow right now.
Oh, is
I'd
that
take you
right?
for my partner any day. Yep. So, and Joanne's not really sure what to do, and you have a lot of ideas. So I think
Mhm.
that's probably a good partnership. If you don't want that, that's cool with me, but it seems like you guys are a pretty good
No, that'd
care
be
to work
fine.
together.
It would be, it would be fine. I don't know anyone, so it doesn't, you
Yes,
know,
And
it's
I
wonderful.
don't really either, so.
yeah, so.
This,
that-
and this
that
is
would
the
be
nice thing
great.
about it. You can get to know new people, right? Who
Mhm.
share your common interest of rug hooking. It's great.
Yeah, no,
Um,
Joanne, that'd be great. I'd love to work with you.
All right, well, let's give it a
And
shot.
your partners.
Okay,
So it's Linda, right?
I'll join you in holy rugamony.
okay.
Mhm.
So now how do we proceed?
So now, you will just go back to where I said you're looking for a partner, and
Mhm.
you can write and say, we are partners and this is what we're thinking about. You'll talk back and forth to each other. All you have to do is make sure you're
Uh-huh.
friends on the welcome mat, and it's easy to write back and forth to each other.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yep.
well,
You can just do
that's-
it right
then.
privately in
fine.
the welcome mat, and then publicly to let us know what it is you're planning. And when you tell me, I will start a discussion that's with your two names, Linda and
Okay.
Joanne's project, right? And then you'll
Okay.
post your
Okay.
postings there, and you can talk back and forth to each other there too, because it's nice for us to see how you're working things out as well.
Okay.
I'll
I-
maybe do that. So
Okay.
I'll make a discussion right away, because I think your work will help inform others of what to do, right? You'll
Okay,
be our thought
sounds
leader.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun working with somebody, you know,
I
whatever.
think it
Oh,
will
I
be
think
too.
so too.
Mhm.
I'm not terribly self-motivating. I do much better when I'm working with other people. So this will be really
Yeah.
fun.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I do when I have a commitment, I do better.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
all do, don't we? We got some fire lit under us.
Oh, God.
Is
Okay.
anybody else looking for a partner? Julie's looking for a partner. Nadine was looking for a partner. Nadine, are you still looking for a partner? You guys would be good partners. Because I know you both. So I'll blind date you. We'll wait to hear from Nadine. Is anybody else looking for a partner? Oh, here's Nadine. Hi, love. She's just gonna get her unmuted.
Yes, I would like to have Julie as my partner.
There you go.
I
I
would
think
like to have Nadine as my partner. That's wonderful.
I should be a freaking matchmaker. That's awesome.
You should. Well, I think you are.
I think I am.
Yeah.
I think you would
Do
be
you
good
have some
partners, too.
ideas, Nadine?
Well, I'm going to do a set of chair pads. So I have nothing after that. So
Okay.
Well, you
that's
were
nice.
thinking
That's a
about
good
leaves,
idea.
right? You were
Leaves,
thinking about
yeah.
leaves. Mhm.
leaves, yes. Mhm.
So Julie,
Okay.
like if I can be, just to show people how this might work, Julie doesn't have to make chair pads with leaves. She might in her rug make a chair, right?
Hmm.
She might in her rug have leaves appear every now and again. But what might unite you is that you might use a similar color palette, for instance, which you already have, and you're already like that, both of you. You both like the same colors. So, it's your unification can be in ways that you're not really thinking about, right?
But I was just thinking when I was trying to think this through, because this is not
Yep.
easy. This takes
Yep.
some thought.
It does.
Nadine said I was thinking I would like to concentrate on a shape and then apply a color, or maybe not limit myself too much to color. I wasn't really sure. I was thinking of all sorts of things, and I was looking around, and I do a lot of geometrics. But a leaf shape, that just struck me when Nadine said she wants to do leaves. Well, why I could do a leaf shape. Never
Mhm.
done that.
Right. For your whole rug to be the shape of a leaf. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or
play with
within
leaves.
it, or I don't know. I have to think on that.
Right.
But it is a shape, and it's a different shape that I've never ever.
Worked
dealt
with
with.
before.
Okay.
It sounds good. So you guys
Okay,
can,
Nadine,
I'll start
I'll
a
friend
discussion
you
with
if we're
you
not
too.
already friends.
I have to write all these marriages down. So all I'll do is just use your first names and start discussions, okay?
Okay.
And then you'll know that that's where you guys can talk about it, because I think it will help other people to see how this all works. And it's a working out. It's not, you're not just gonna, well, you might be lucky to strike on something, but you might have to work things out a little bit, you know?
So if you're going to do leaves, you do 31 of them?
It's up to you, but yep, you could make one leaf
Oh.
with 31 veins on it.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
That's
really
a lot of
the,
veins, eh, Beverly?
but not really, because if you do look at a real leaf, you should see how many there are.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean,
That's
she
really
could make
cool.
one big leaf and each vein could be for a different day, you know? It's really, the possibilities are endless, and that's really kind of the way I want to start off this year coming 2023, to just for us to really dive into leaving expected outcomes, like doing things that people might expect of us when we're rug hooking, and kind of delve into the new territories, just new for you, right? So
Wanda, when you said that you were going to start discussions for each pair,
group. Mhm.
each group, are you saying then that's where we would converse back and forth, not kind of on in the
It's up to
my
you. If you
page?
want to be private, you
Oh, I don't.
you can, but if you want to talk about it in public, that would be good, because I think that helps everybody understand where you began and what it developed into, because that's part of the beauty of collaboration, which I think is great to be seen, right? The little working out how it all happens, you know?
Okay.
There's a great podcast called Modern Love, which I love to listen to. And it's really the stories about people's loves. And it can be love of any type. And that's going to be part of your story of what you're creating, is the befores, you know? Like, how did you work all this out? And that also allows me to come stick my nose in it. Right? I'm only joking. I won't say anything unless I'm asked in this environment. Because it's really, unless you get stuck, or I think I see something that could be a problem, you know, moving ahead, then I'll say something, and you can ignore me. But I'm going to butt out unless asked, mostly. What a shock. So Shawnee's got her hand up. Shawnee.
Yeah, Sherry and I have been jabbering back and forth with each other on our phones.
Yeah.
And we decided we will collaborate on this project with each other.
Okay.
So
I'll start your discussion.
there's one idea. It may not be the only one, because we really just started talking about it today.
Mhm.
Came across an image that I just absolutely loved. It's a Kandinsky image.
Mhm.
Series of very wonky circles,
Yeah.
very unexpected color combinations. And so that just jumped in my head. That'd be something we could work with. I
Yep.
personally never enjoyed hooking circles. So there's a challenge that would be good right off the bat, right?
Yeah, well, I have an aside for you, just as a coincidence. I was looking to see when the next issue of Rug Hooking Magazine would come out. And they're still at September. So they don't even have the November, December one as their current issue yet. So I don't think I'm going to get any info for there, but there was someone demonstrating how to hook a circle, and they made it into a 12-step process. And I was like, okay, don't do that. That's all I
Oh.
got to say. Don't do it that way. Makes life really hard.
And what I liked about these, they weren't real circles. They were
They're not. Mhm.
wonky circles, which is much more how
Appeals to you. Yeah. That's good.
and all kinds of colors that I would never normally use. When I looked at this image, I thought
Mhm.
quite inspiring as a challenge.
So if you're going to do that, you'll want to think about how you'll include your 31st section. Your 31st section will be difficult because, you know,
Where do you-
you'll want to think about how you're going to include that. Sometimes what people do is they use it for their border, the 31st thing, right? And they'll add whatever their theme is to the border somehow. So maybe you want to make linked circles in a quiet way in your border, so that the border color and the linked circles are just a value away from each other or something. So they barely show up. And that's the other thing I want to tell you too, is we're always thinking when we're hooking that everything has to show up. Well, sometimes they can't. Like I used to make my journals in September. And once I took like September Vogue, I think it was of 2009. And I took a motif out of there every day to replicate in my rug. And I made it in the style of an Oriental. So there was borders after borders after borders. And then I had a field, but guess what? I did all these borders and I had this field to do like 14 days. Oh, womp womp. So how am I going to deal with that? But what I did was I put motifs in. I had a warm wandering and a cool wandering, and I put the motifs in. And then in the warm wandering, and then I put the cool one around it, and you can barely see them, but they're there. And I don't need to explain that to anybody, right? I'm explaining it to you just so you understand. You don't always have to have everything showing up 100% like you're imagining, like blocked off, like this, like that. The other thing Shani could do if she wanted to is have a great big circle in the middle. That's her 31st circle, and let the other one start appearing outside of it if she wanted to, or any other thing. She could have it off to the side. She could have a half circle at the top, whatever she wanted to do. The full moon will come in January. So maybe you can represent the full moon in one of your circles. We can break all the rules of rug hooking, if there are any, and just do whatever our spirit moves us to do. Is anybody else looking for a partner that they want to tell me about, or that I don't know about already? No, you're all good. So you've already found one, or you're going to work with a partnership with an object or a thing or an idea. If you have asked for a partner and you don't have one, I'll fix you up. So just let me know. Yeah. Some of us prefer to work alone, but I think it's really a good opportunity to get to know someone, and that person will help you grow in a way that's unexpected. When you have an idea and they have an idea, you bring those together. You actually have 4 ideas, because your thought about their idea and their thought about your idea adds 2 more in there. And it just goes and goes and goes on like that. Julie, did you raise your hand?
I did. I just wanted to ask a question, or have you confirm. It seems like there's more planning to this January journal than in the past, when we would just sort of each day you would, think about what your theme was and hook something. So
Right.
am I right in assuming that we should be planning more of our rug before we begin? Or is
You
that
need to
wrong?
do more preparatory work, because you're working with something or someone else
Okay,
in a way that we never have before. So before, I would have set a parameter like the circles of life. When we did
Right.
that one, I just told you to look for a circle in your life every day,
mhm,
however that appeared to you. Yeah, and it was quite different for every single person how that appeared to them,
but I'm thinking, should I be planning, once Nadine and I talked, should I be trying to plan 31 things so that it's gonna fit within my parameters?
Well, that's up
of
to
my
you.
rug?
See, I
Okay.
like to live dangerously.
Yeah,
We're not
I
doing
just
this.
didn't want it I don't know,
Yeah.
structured.
Yeah, I like to live a bit dangerously, because I want to know kind of my idea of what I want to do. I want to sort of know what colors I sort of want to have. But then
Okay.
after that, I like to be free each day to take in whatever is being presented to me, if that makes any sense. So this time you can both be directed by whatever happens in your daily life. So it's a true journal, in the truest sense of the word. Or you can set your parameters ahead of time, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. during your day. I like to bring the day to it, but you don't have to.
Okay, thanks.
But I do want you to explore your possibilities. So if you decide that you're going to work with purple, let's say, I want you to really explore what purple can be. You and purple, what are you thinking about every day? What's your new fresh way with purple? If we look at Van Gogh as an example, he did like so many sunflower paintings. Like there are so many of them. I don't even know how many. I used to know, but now I'm getting old and that Cheerio fell off the end of the dowel. So, but you could see every time he was bringing a little something different to it. He was trying to refine what it is he wanted to say and what he wanted to do. And hopefully that will happen with you to whatever depth as you move through your month. If you're thinking about purple, you'll start to explore its many attitudes and personalities. So we are needing more self-chosen parameters because I'm not setting any up for you like I usually do. This is a bigger growth field, I think. So this part we're in right now, the thinking about what's possible is what's going to allow you to develop the ability to really think more deeply about ideas that you're pursuing. That's my aim anyway. It doesn't bother me if you don't live up to it, but I think it's good for us to have an opportunity to act like mature artists, and this is it. And it doesn't matter what happens with it. It's just a way for you to think differently about your art and your craft. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Or
Thanks.
do I sound like I'm on drugs? Because I'm
No,
not.
not at all.
I do have a migraine, but I didn't take anything for it because I thought I got to be sharp of mind. Yeah. So if you do feel that you want a partner, just let me know. And we'll work on that. We'll have another Zoom. I'm not near a calendar, but what date is it today? The 13th? How many days till Christmas? We're not going to have one before Christmas, but we'll have one after. So the Tuesday after Christmas, we'll have one. And I'll record it. So if you can't come, no problem. And then I'll have another one the next Tuesday. Okay. But we won't have one before Christmas again. So just relax. I try to, when I'm trying to develop these kinds of ideas for myself, I don't try to force it. I just kind of do things I enjoy, or even I don't. Like you'll be surprised what happens when you're cleaning the house or something like that, something horrible, or folding laundry and you just let your mind go. Catherine just made a terrible face about the laundry. It just allows you, any repeated thing you do, like going for a walk or dishes or something you don't have to think about that you're doing automatically, really allows a time and space for ideas to come. And I also I don't want to minimize, you saw how much research, I talked about research when I wrote that little note about what collaboration is and how it works and how all the different ways you can think about it. Research is a good thing. Like Shawnee found that artwork that found inspiring. She's not going to probably look at that anymore, but she's just going to make her own way of it. And that's 100% good. Yeah. So do some research about some ideas that you're thinking about, or things that you want to try. And you can do anything. It can be geometric. It can be straight lines, like Kim said. Just make sure you're taking it easy on yourself and don't set the bar too high. Because come about January 8th, you're going to be crying. It's going to be hard. That's the hump day from about the 8th to the 14th. Because we will start, and I don't care if you get behind. I don't care if this is never finished, to be honest. I care about you, this part we're in right now, thinking about what's possible, entertaining ideas, thinking how you can bring it to fruition, right? That's all great. Does anybody else have anything they want to ask me? Yes, Julie.
I'm sorry, this is
No,
slightly
please
off
ask,
topic.
please ask.
I come in late and then I ask a million questions. Can I
Please.
ask a question about the video on knitting an I-cord for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
On the video, she used 4 stitches and it was quite narrow. I'm not really a knitter. I
Yeah.
understand how to do it now, though. Can I do it with more than 4 stitches? And with heavier yarn?
If you used heavier yarn, that would solve your problem. If you start, you have to use an even number of stitches so it'll go around,
Oh,
right? And so I've only ever done it with 4. And I think if you use a heavier yarn, it's going to give you the fatter cord that you want.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because really
Okay.
what you want to do is for it to be like this. You know, you want it to look like it goes around in a circle.
Right.
So I would have to try and see if you can do it with more stitches. I've never done that. It'll have a hole in the middle. I don't
Okay,
know.
well, I was just curious. I might just try it and see
I think you
once I
should.
get some knitting needles, because I don't have any here.
Oh, woe betide you, precious.
I
Why'd you live
know.
so far away? Because
Yeah.
it's like, my God, it's like the knitting needle heaven here. But they're
I
all
have a whole,
way,
I have a whole drawer at home. I don't know why I didn't bring some, but that's okay.
yeah. You can also just use one of those little spools with the hole in it and the 4 little things.
Mhm.
It takes a little bit more time to do it that way, but,
Right.
and it's always 4 stitches too. But if you think about the bigger ones, they had 6 stitches. So maybe you should try 6 and see what happens.
I think I will, just to see.
What do we got to lose?
I have nothing to lose.
That's right. We don't care. It's good to try it out.
Okay.
But I know anytime I've ever had a knitter show me that or seen it done, I did it a long time ago, but it was always 4 stitches. But that doesn't mean we can't use 6 because we're here to break the rules.
Okay.
We're here to go beyond expected outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions? No. So it would be good. I'm going to put, I'm really not sure how I'm going to structure this because I sort of want to have a discussion for everyone in the actual collaboration thing so that we can easily jump and go and see what so-and-so's doing, what so-and-so's doing, or not, as the case is. And please don't feel bad if you're not. You can even just show us pictures of your dog or cat if you want. This is what happened today. So if you do have a partner, you should probably let me know so that I can start you your little collaboration thing. And if you don't have a partner, that's cool too. I'll just start one with your name. Oh, Catherine's waving. Yes, just like the
Yes.
queen.
Well,
She's very good at
Yes, yes. Patrice and I are partners and
Okay,
we're
great.
still working out the parameters.
Okay.
But we do have some ideas. So you can just put us down there and we will go forward.
Okay, that's great. As an aside, Patrice,
Yeah.
I tried to send your parcel today and I could not because it would not accept your address. So do you want to just send me your address again? That would be really great. Just in my email.
Okay. That's weird.
Thank you.
Okay.
I thought it was very weird myself, but I also have to make a customs form and I couldn't find it when I made your customs
And
form.
I also can't pay for you by PayPal. For some reason, I can pay PayPal other people, but not you. It won't accept it. Says there's
I'm a
something
bastard
wrong
like
with it.
that. That's all I can say. I'm sorry about that. I've been having a lot of trouble with all of my forms of payment and my orders. I don't get notifications for them.
Weird.
Today I tried to get, well, for 4 days, actually since last Friday, I've tried to get this one thing for my grandchild and it won't accept my visa, which there's, everything's correct. There's a lot of weirdnesses going on, Patrice. So
just email you.
you can just email me and give me that info, babe. That
Okay,
helps me
through the welcome mat. That
wherever
email.
you want to. Yep.
Okay. All right,
whatever you want to.
we'll do
Yep.
it.
And just give me your whole and proper address, including your full zip code.
Okay,
That's helpful.
we'll
Mhm.
do it. I did have
Yeah.
a question about dyeing orange.
Yes.
Catherine and I are both working with orange. And I did the, let's see, what's it called? The Power and the Glory, the real super saturated one.
Yes.
I could not get that to quit bleeding. I mean, it just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. And
Strange.
yeah, I don't know if it's because it's got so much dye.
Well, that
Um,
shouldn't matter. Every dark color or bright color that you do like that, you should always rinse out with Synthropol.
I did that numerous times, probably
Yeah, I
Yeah.
8
didn't
times.
have any, I didn't have any bleeding when I made mine.
Yeah, Julie
Oh,
made
I sure
hers.
did.
I
Yeah,
did all of those.
Yeah,
weird.
I didn't have a
So
problem
Patrice,
with
what
the
do you think about adding, like putting it back in again and adding like a wop load of citric acid?
I did that too.
Hmm.
And I even left it in the citric acid overnight.
Can I
The
ask
dye
a
color,
question
then-
that seems really stupid? Do
No,
you
you
have a
can.
water softener?
No,
Okay. I just
No.
can't imagine what would do that. Is your wool washed and
I
dried
had the
before
same
you dye?
thing. No, it's just soaked in Synthropol.
Mhm. Go ahead. You had the same thing.
I had the same thing when I did the really super saturated darkest value of black for the value swatch in the pairs.
Mhm.
It bled and bled and bled. I finally sort of got it to quit,
Hmm.
but yeah, I just thought it was because there was so much dye. And I also dyed, I kept throwing water. I couldn't get the water to clear in the, and I didn't want to add too much more citric acid. I did add some, but what was left was yellow, of course. So then
Yeah.
I threw more natural wool in 3 times to get it to soak up the extra yellow.
Weird.
Yeah. So I don't
So
think we'll have
whenever
any problem with
whenever I'm dyeing bright or dark colors, like for instance, I don't know where it is. Oh, I don't even have to move. So this is approaching what I describe as a bright and dark
Right.
color, right? So
uh-huh.
I probably used a teaspoon or more of Synthropol, and it took my entire dye show plus for this to take up completely, right? So you guys saw me on Friday. I dyed all this other stuff in the other pot. It all like took up so quickly.
Right.
And this thing, because it's, you know, that much darker and that much more dye, took the whole show and then some. So, and when I rinsed it, some dye does come out because that's what happens, but not very much. I don't know what to tell you, Patrice. I'm sorry about that.
Well,
I'll have to
maybe I
give it a
didn't put enough.
try.
Maybe I didn't put enough Synthropol in it. How much for that particular one, the Power and the Glory? I think you were dyeing it over half a yard. And
It would have been a quarter, I
let me see,
think.
No,
I
quarter
usually
yard,
use a quarter
a
yard.
quarter yard, and yeah, a quarter yard, and it was 1 teaspoon
Yeah,
over 1 quarter yard, which is a lot of
Yeah.
dye for a quarter
not
yard.
really. Let's just go back to my talk about how you can take a half a yard of wool and put maybe 3 good tablespoons of dye on it, and it takes up. So that reminds me that sometimes
Oh, wow,
if people
okay.
have this trouble, I
Okay.
tell them to put it in their oven. Because if you're doing it on your stove top, I don't know how you dyed it, but you know I'm using those kitchen
pot.
kettles and the heat is coming from all the way around it. And I also had
Yeah,
the
I used
lid
the
on that
Presto
dark.
pot.
Right. I
Yeah.
also put the lid on so it's really intensely hot, more hot
Did
than we
that
can get
too.
it if it's on top of the stove. When I'm using a large amount of dye, like the three tablespoons, that's oven work. That goes in the oven
Okay.
so that it's all
Yeah, I did
over
it in
heat.
Presto pot with the lid on.
Yeah, can I come over?
Yeah. Come on
I think I
down.
better. I'll just hand deliver those red dyes and we'll see what's up over there.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing I want to say too is
Yeah,
not all
see.
citric acid is the same acidity. So you can buy stuff at the grocery store or drugstore that's to be put in punch and things like that, or there's certain candies that we make at home that require it. It's not nearly strong enough. So that I would put like a good tablespoon of that stuff in there. And then there's
Yeah,
citric acid that we can buy from, like I sell industrial strength citric acid, and it's quite a bit different of a body than that other citric acid that you can just get from a wine store or something
No,
like that.
it was
Mhm.
Prochem. It
Yeah.
was Prochem acid.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the troubleshooting things and I'm stymied.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
me
it
too.
does take a long time, and patience is a virtue. And you might want to just try your oven. Just pour the whole
I will try
dilute
that. And
right into a
and
pan
what
that you can just throw in the
temperature?
oven.
what
350,
temperature would you put that in? For
350
how long?
till it was clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can try it.
Like, it's hard for me because when I'm dyeing, I don't pay all that much attention to time. I'm usually dyeing many things all at one time, and I just check and see, is the water clear? But I
Well,
have
I
an
probably
article.
cooked it an hour.
Yeah,
Probably cooked it an hour and it never did clear, even though I threw 3 different 1/8 yards in there.
yeah, that's just really
It
odd.
was weird.
There could be some left, right? I will take mine out,
Yeah.
and there might be a little bit left, especially when I'm making a super dark color like that. But that first
Yeah.
one that you threw in should have taken all the excess up.
Well, it didn't.
Let me ask you this. I just had a brainwave. It's probably
Okay.
useless because, my brain's fritzing. But I did think to myself just now, it's also about the timing of when you add the acid. So I will let my wool be by itself with no acid for quite a length of time before I add the acid. When I'm doing my show, I add it sooner than I would at home because I want to get the show over with. But I would wait quite considerably before I added the acid. I would really let the wool take up most of the dye before I added it. So maybe that will help, Patrice. I don't know. You should try it. Should just not
Okay.
be too quick to add your acid.
I probably added it probably 10 minutes into it, and I would say probably 3/4 of the dye maybe had taken up.
Mhm.
Maybe not quite that much, maybe 3/4 of it.
Yeah, and I would have, for a dark color like that I know is yellowish, I might have waited a half an hour or
Okay.
more. Yeah, so
That's good
try
to
and
know.
see if that helps. Because one thing
Okay.
about yellow based colors is if you add the acid too soon, it retards the take up, and it
Right.
actually prevents it if it's added too soon. And it doesn't
Well,
really
that's what
want
I
all that
wondered.
much. Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, if maybe I added too much acid when I saw what color was left. I'm like, ooh,
Mhm.
maybe I added too much acid,
Well, that's the way
maybe.
of orange though, because it does have yellow in it, right?
Right.
But that I always, like, I'm usually telling people during the show, like, I don't do what I do. I'm just doing this because of the show, right? So I know that I would wait longer for that to add my acid.
Okay,
And
because
when
I
I'm
want to
doing,
make a really dark rust color, and so maybe I'll just wait a really long time before I add
yeah,
the acid to
try
that.
that and see if it helps, because for some colors, especially the warm ones, they're often have yellow contained in them somehow, right? Not all of
Right,
them, but
right.
some do. And so that will allow time without acid for that to be taken up more.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, and do lots of stirring, and you can add synthropol
Oh.
too to help, not after, nothing you can do after you add too much acid will help the yellow go in. And I don't know if you want to fool around with this, but you can correct the chemical acidic balance by adding baking soda to your dye. So you can
Right.
take it and correct it back, but it also will chase dye out of your wool. So that's up to you. In the
Oh, I see.
Andes,
Okay.
that's what they do to correct their dye baths. They add soda to it, but you don't have to add very much soda to correct it back to being base. Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's interesting.
that's really getting into a lot of cray, if you ask me. Just wait until you add your acid longer, and we'll see if that helps.
Yeah, I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be of more help, except I can come to your house if you make me a good lunch.
Okay, well, I'm not a
Well-
real good cook, so
I'll travel for chips. Okay,
Bring your own
that's how
food.
easy I am. Just cheese. All right. So does anybody
Okay.
else have any questions they want to ask me while we're here?
Good.
No. You feeling good? So don't stress. Just let the ideas come to you gently. You don't have to be up, midnight, December 31st, unless you want to be and you're celebrating New Year's. Sometimes people work, like I like to work on December 2nd for December 1st or January 1st. I like to wait and see what's happened during the day and then do the work the next day. And that's a-okay too. Just whatever suits you. And you can be as flexible as you wish. You can be like a piece of spaghetti and go whichever way you want. You can change midway too. If you want to feel like if an idea comes to you partway through and you want to add something else in, you can. It's perfectly all right. This is for you to have fun and explore. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you make. I'm going to start these discussions of partners, but I want to have discussions of individuals too. And I'm just going to go by the membership list. So if you haven't joined as a member in that group yet, please do so now, so that I'll make you a discussion. And if I miss you, please draw my attention to it and say, hey, you. All right. Anything else anyone wants to ask? I'm looking forward to what we're going to be making. Okay, we'll see you. I guess I'll see you Friday dye date when we'll be playing with the roses. Yeah. All right. We'll
Thank
see
you,
soon.
Wanda.
You're so
Thanks,
welcome.
Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Thanks, Wanda.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Everybody. And